So, welcome. And I also want to introduce Basma, the incredible Basma from Common Press, who's here with us, and she's been also accompanying us as well, Shareef, not only just as an interpreter, but I think as a fellow curator and artist and thinker, you know, as we kind of explore the city, explore Shareef's work. So maybe I want to begin with Shareef. Since you're closest to me, since both of you are closest to me, I mean, you are from Gaza, and obviously, given the context of where we are in these days, you're currently based in Madrid or somewhere in Europe. I'd love for you and to share with us, first and foremost, your practice as an artist. Yeah, in terms of what is the context that you come from. And actually, just so everybody knows, there's a rolling carousel of images in the screen behind that contains both Shareef as well as Ray and Chien-Han's work. And just so you know also, Ray and Chien-Han also work separately as artists, but they also work together as artists, as a duo as well. So maybe Shareef, just to give us a bit of context about your work and your practice. Yeah.
اوكي. مساء الخير. انا راح احكي بالعربي لانه الانجليزي تبعي كتير سيء فانا اسف.
Yeah, I'm going to speak in English in Arabic because my English is quite bad, so I apologize for that.
انا فنان بصري عايش كل وقتي في مدينة صغيرة اسمها غزة. بمارس كل ما بقدر أو كل المواد المتاحة اللي بقدر استخدمها بممارساتي الفنية أو إنتاجاتي الفنية.
I'm a visual artist. I live in a small city called Gaza, and I try and use all the tools and substances at my disposal to apply my art and to work on my art.
بديت كرسام. بستخدم الألوان الأكريليك أو القماش أو الأحبار اللي كانت متاحة خاصة بآخر 17 سنة من الحصار. كنا بنعاني بكتير مواد مش موجودة بغزة.
I started my work as a painter. I used acrylic paints, fabric, and yeah, better. Okay. I started my work as a painter, and I used acrylic paints, fabric to do my art in Gaza, especially in the last 17 years when the siege was at its worst.
وبسبب هذا الحصار كان إشي ضروري لنا إنه نتعلم أو نمارس وسائط وخامات جديدة زي الفيديو والتصوير الفوتوغرافي والأوديو ومرات البيفورمانس آرت.
Because of this prolonged siege, it was essential for me to find other mediums to work with, like videos and new materials and performance art sometimes.
وكان لازم عشان نتعلم هذه المواد لازم يكون في عندنا حلقة اتصال بيننا وبين العالم الخارجي، وهذا كان صعب بسبب الحصار. فكنا بنوجد طرق من خلال الإنترنت نتصل بفنانين موجودين بأوروبا أو بأمريكا أو بالمنطقة العربية لنستقطب خبراتهم وتجاربهم ويعلمونا كيف نمارس نستخدم هاي الأدوات.
And having started to use new methods for applying our art, we had to learn those methods. And again, because of the siege and Gaza being an isolated area from the world, we had to figure out ways to get in touch with experts or people who knew how to use those methods using the internet and trying to attract artists or people who have a specific interest in Gaza to get in touch and teach us their ways.
ومع مرور الوقت صارت خبرتي أكتر في هاي الممارسات اللي كمان أنا كنت بدوري بنقولها للجيل اللي جاي بعدي بعلمهم كيف يستخدموا، وأنا كنت كمان قادر على إنه أوصل الصوت والصورة تاعت غزة لكل العالم حتى لو أنا مش قادر أطلع مرات.
And as time went by, I was learning more and more, and I was teaching the newer generation of artists the methods that I was learning, and it was also an opportunity for us to relay Gaza in image and sound to the outside world.
فأنا بعد هاي السنوات الخبرة اللي هي أكثر من 25 سنة عم بشتغل بالرسم، بشتغل بالفيديو، بشتغل بالفضاء العام، وهذا واحد من المشاريع اللي أنا بحب دائما أشتغل فيها مع الناس بالشارع، وأعمل أعمال تركيبية كبيرة، واستخدم الأدوات اللي هي معاد استخدامها أو بعيد استخدامها من مخلفات البيئة والحرب بنفس الوقت.
And 25 years in now, I have learned to use different mediums like video, like sculpting, and I use a lot of I use a lot of materials that are available in Gaza. I use and reuse those materials that are already materials that need to be reused from my surrounding area. And I also like to work with a big group of people, and we all apply the art installation together.
Can I ask, as part of your practice, I mean, it's fantastic that, you know, the kind of range of materials and also the evolution of the use of materials given that's also responsive to the environment, to the context by which, you know, whether you're able to access this material or not, and to kind of really shift that to respond to that. I want to ask about content, about, you know, is there a particular content that in your practice that you're constantly investigating, or, you know, things kind of shift according to the different works that you're making?
يعني الكونسبت او المفهوم دائما مختلف من مكان لمكان، وانا يعني هلا اخر 10 سنين في حياتي صارت طريقتي بالتفكير مختلفة، حتى كمان اخر سنتين، ما قبل الحرب اشي وما بعد الحرب اشي. بس القصد انه كمان زمان كنت بدور على الخامة بعدين على الموضوع، هلا او الكونسبت، هلا بدور على الكونسبت بعدين بدور على الميديم اللي بدي اشتغل فيها، لانه صار في عندي ادوات كثيره اللي لازم استخدمها اذا انا محتاج بهذا المفهوم، وبالتالي المخرج تبعي الفني الكونسبت تبعي مختلف من موضوع لموضوع ومن فكره لفكره.
There's been a specific shift in the way that I work in the last 10 years, particularly in obviously the last 2 years since the beginning of the genocide. And initially I used to look for the materials and then think about concepts. But now the concept dictates my work more. And yeah.
And in a way, you know, what are some of the immediate things, especially in the last 2 years? I want to ask, you know, what are some of the immediate things that for you, as you're processing also, I think, you know, the intensity of what's been happening, you know, what is for you, you are keen to kind of, you know, kind of cut through in terms, because we're confronted with a lot of, you know, kind of information, images, and so on and so forth. And I want to ask, in terms of the content and subject matter in the last 2 years for you, what is most in front for you? What is most critical for you that you want to kind of hold on to?
آخر سنتين هم كتير كانوا صعبات. أول شيء خاصة بأول أشهر من الإبادة كان في عندي عدم قدرة لا على التركيز ولا على الشغل ولا على التفكير بأي إنتاج فني. أوكي.
At the beginning of the genocide, especially the first few months, it was very difficult for me to focus on anything, to think, to concentrate. It was very difficult for me to do anything at the beginning of the genocide.
ودخلت في حالة صراع داخلي إنه شو يعني فن في ظل هاي الأجواء اللي إحنا بنعيشها أو الظروف من إبادة وحرب وتدمير.
And I had an internal struggle as to what does art mean in the context of such extreme circumstances. What does it all mean?
بعدين هيك فجأة اكتشفت إنه لا، لازم أسوي إشي عشان أكون قادر على إنه أنا أوصل صوت الناس اللي عايشة بغزة وصوتي أنا للعالم من خلال الفن.
And then something clicked in my head that I need to use art as a way to explain what's happening in Gaza and possibly relay the Gazan voice to the world.
وبعدين ب 2024 بشهر 4 الإسرائيليين قصفوا المرسم تبعي، وأنا فقدت كل أعمالي الفنية وأرشيفي وسنوات شغلي كلها اللي بتتقدر ما بين 10 ل 15 ألف قطعة فنية أنا فقدتهم إلى الأبد.
In April 2024, the Israeli army bombed my studio, and I lost everything. All the work that I had done, 15,000 pieces of work were lost in my studio. All my tools, all of it was gone.
ويمكن هذه كانت إشارة إنه أنا لازم أبدأ من جديد وأقوي شغلي، لأنه لازم أستمر عشان أقدر أكون متحمل هاي المسؤولية.
This was a sign to me that I needed to start over and start stronger, because it was a sign that I meant to. We need to continue. That I needed to continue working in a stronger way.
فبلشت أستخدم خامات ما كانتش موجودة عندي، مش متاحة بغزة، زي طباعة الصور بالأحماض. بلشت أستخدم وسائط كمان أو خامات جديدة علي عشان أقدر أربطها ما بين الماضي تبعي والحاضر اللي عم بعيشه للمستقبل الجديد اللي جاي.
So I started to look for different mediums and ways of working, like image pressing using certain chemicals, and I started to look for methods to tie my past, present to my future.
فاللي بيشوف شغلي قبل بلاقي فيه ترابط ما بين الخامات اللي عم بشتغل فيها اليوم، وكمان بنفس الوقت هي مربوطة بكيف الحياة موجودة بغزة، كيف الناس عايشة، كيف بقدر أنقل هاي الحياة اليومية بشكل فني مختلف.
If you observe my work today and my work today, you'll notice that there is a strong connection between the materials that I use in my work and the outcome. The materials that I use in my work and life in Gaza, there is a strong connection.
فأنا بشتغل على مجموعة مشاريع مختلفة من حيث المخرجات الفنية والأدوات، وكمان الوسائط اللي بقدر استخدمها وأنا موجود، خاصة إن أنا بعيش بين أسبانيا، بين مدريد ومرسيليا، فبالتالي عندي هاي الحرية بكتير أدوات ما كانتش موجودة عندي زمان قبل سنتين.
Similarly, now that I live in Madrid, I have a lot of art materials and materials at my disposal. So the outcome of my work will reflect, will be new and will reflect this availability to art materials, but it will also reflect my life in Gaza.
وفي مثل عربي، ما أعرف إذا تعرف ولا لا، إنه الضربة اللي بتموتكاش بتقويك، فهذا اللي صار معنا.
And he's saying there is a saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and this is what happened to him in the last 2 years.
وأنا بحس إنه أنا مش عم بحكي بس بصوتي، أنا كمان بحكي بصوت 2.5 مليون إنسان عايشين في ظروف صعبة، بحاول أنقل أصواتهم حتى ولو بجزء صغير من هذا العالم.
And I feel like I'm not only using my own voice, I am speaking in the voice of 2.5 million people who are living under occupation and under very difficult circumstances in Gaza. And I'm trying to relay their voice as well.
I just want to really thank you and acknowledge this, because it's, so important, even in extreme circumstances, in times of war, conflict, crisis, that you continue to insist as an artist to make work, like you say, that connects with something that's kind of much larger. And last March, when the intensification of the conflict happened, we started a serious conversation called Artists in Times of Upheaval. And one of the fundamentals of that, and this is artists from around the world who are similarly facing conflict from Ukraine, Afghanistan, Hong Kong, China, so on and so forth, where artists find different ways of insisting and continuing their practice, even when circumstances are challenging. So I want to thank you that you are able to be here with us today, and that we will continue this journey with you to accompany you as practice kind of evolves. I will come back to you about other things. Yeah. Thank you. I will switch over to Chien-Han and Ray, whom I met in Taipei. I can't remember when, but a while ago. And at that time, of course, both of you also just got married. And your practice as two very different artists. Ray works in a space of light as a lighting designer, an installation, and Chien-Han, of course, founded a quote-unquote theater and performance company with a younger brother and another artist also based in Taipei called Cocoism. And of course, they've also been working together as artists, thinking and reflecting about them, from their personal life and extending into kind of professional life. Can you share with us a little bit about your practice, both together as a duo, but also separately as artists? Yeah. Okay. Are you okay to? It's on. You just.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
And hello, everyone. And excuse me because my throat is a little bit sick now, so it's terrible. So Ray will talk more for me. And okay, yeah. For me, it's really lucky and happy to be here. It's a great opportunity to, as an artist, enjoy the residency. And I'm Chien-Han Hong, and I'm a theater director and a theater maker. And my work's focusing on like lecture performance, site-specific or live exhibition, and I'm always curious about the relationship between audience and performers, and I keep questioning a lot of questions. Maybe you can talk to me.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ray. I'm from Taiwan. And before we married, we worked together too. But as I'm a lighting guy, and she's a director, and I will introduce her work first. So I think Chien-Han's work is always started with a question, and then she used another question to answer that question in theater. So, for example, she made one word called grandmother paradox. And if you want to see this word, you have to buy one ticket, but come 2 days. So for example, the show is selling with a pack, like you need to attend like Friday and Saturday. Yeah, and the first show, the beginning of the show, is already the post talk. So they asked the whole audience, is there anyone coming from the future? Can you tell me what's next day's show? Okay, so after that, of course, nobody come. We are expected like maybe someone really come from the future, but no, all of the 4 shows like nobody coming from the future. And then there's a series of lecture performers. So she invited physics, professional hypnosis to talk about what is subconsciousness, what is the series of black hole, time traveling. And then after that, the teacher do the professional hypnosis to all the audience. And then after that part, we record the audience feedback about what they see for tomorrow's show. So after the first day show is already 10 p.m., we all creation team going to an Airbnb apartment, and we are making tomorrow's show. So every show of the second day is unknown. We also didn't know what the audience will say, what the audience will feedback. Yeah. Yeah.
That mic's not working.
Okay. Ray was my lighting designer of the Paradox.
Yeah, and it's really drive us crazy because I need to change all the lighting through what audience see.
Yeah.
We in late night, so we I think we work until 5 a.m. and then wake up like 8 a.m. and then to set up everything, to change all the setup.
And the topic is inspiring from the Dr. Hawking. So 2 days ago, we went to Science Industrial Museum and we saw the advertisement of welcome time travelers. I feel so like, wow, overwhelming about the poster. Yeah.
So I would say like Han's work is very started with concept and building a unique space to think all these questions with audience together. So it's not like she has an answer for all these questions, but like to build an imagination space for the audience. So for example, some audience after the show, they think like what they thought the second day is exactly what they see on the first day. But some people is like, let's see what you can what you can do for the second show. So every of this engagement of the audience for her is very important. And also she did some work in the museum space, like using a script called Waiting for Godot. And she make all the audience waiting in line to enter a tent. And audience, there's only allowed one audience inside at the same time. And then audience waiting in a long line inside, and there's just a clock counting last 5 minutes. So the concept is driven by the script waiting for Godot, and actually it's waiting for nothing. Yes.
For your your time, your meditation.
Yeah, and I think for me that work is also like very interesting because while the time waiting, you expected what will happening in the museum. And while I'm here, and the memory and everything is all like a journey, but it's never happened like on site, yes. And okay, as me, I am, my material is lighting, and I will say my practice is that I observing other culture because I was always the one to be invited to other culture and work together. So I've been working with a Thai choreographer, Picha Klangchen, and also with Singaporean Berlin-based artist Chokafai to make theater production. And then because their practice is always based on, for example, shamanism, traditional culture of Asia, South Asia, so we always go research in this country. For example, I will go to see the shamanism ritual in South Asia, and then I noticed that there's a lot of this LED, cheap LED strip or electronic car van on the street for celebrating the ritual. And then I used all this kind of material I thought to create scenography on stage. And also there's a work called Number 60. I use the traditional dance, Thai dance fabric to build a scenography on stage. And for me, why I feel like I am an observer is because I think the observer is the creator. Through observing what kind of material in this culture, with the memory of the culture, with the local people memory in this this material, I think is the most important thing for me. So, and also I think like in theater, lighting is, for me, the goal of lighting is not to make the audience to see or to create something beautiful. I think for me, what theater is so unique is because we spend, no matter it's 1 hour or 2 hours together, we're getting old together for this journey. And then this kind of time, how to say that, this top of time, I think the weapon is lighting. So for example, sometimes I feel like, what's the difference between, why I'm so passionate about doing theater lighting? I think it's like I can make something slow and something very fast, but I don't need to tell what I want to make because it's all about experience. And I feel like I'm a magician. I can change and distort the sensation of the participant. Yeah.
You want to talk a bit about how the two of you work?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's in 2021, we get together in relationship, and then we start to co-creation together because the first work we do together with her younger brother, it's called Three Produce Everything. And all this concept is from the Taoism. There's a book in I Ching. It's like one produce two, yeah, Taoism. Two produce three, and three produce everything. So this whole proposal started with a real life question. We want to have a baby. And then one day she said, like, maybe we can use my egg, her brother's sperm, and then transfer the embryo into her body. So then we both feel we have, in the whole process, we are part of it, and also this baby will have our family's DNA. And then it's in the living room, I remember. It's in the evening living room, and her mother was like, that's so beautiful. And we are quite shocked, actually, because normally the first moment we talk about this proposal, everyone is like,
is something weird? Or
or is it like really doable? Or, but then, so her mother's response is very open-minded and also very very positive, yes. And so we think like maybe we can do a theater piece about that and to imagine what is the next generation of queer family. And because like in Taiwan, we had the same-sex marriage passed, the law passed in the late 2019. So we have a lot of queer family friends. They are looking forward to welcome their baby. And we think like after 20 years, 30 years, it will become normal. It will no longer a something special thing. We have to think about what is the definition of DNA, what is the function of our cell, like a sperm and egg, maybe we can have the idea like maybe it's belong to the family. It's not belong to person, one human being. So for example, if we can think like that, maybe her brother's sperm can share with us as a love, as a gift, instead of to think about like all the cells are selfish. Yeah.
I mean, I saw the work in progress of this thing, and they will premiere this piece in September as part of the Taipei Performing Arts Festival this year. And in many ways, for me, I think, that connection, what we've been discussing and sharing really, that kind of keen observation of society, of things that are happening quite urgently. And obviously in Asia, for a long time, queer rights, marriage and whatever. I mean, I'm originally from Singapore. And for the longest time, and it came from the English Penal Code. There is a code in it that two men, if you're entering kind of sexual relationship, you'll be arrested and you're thrown in jail. For a long time, that code existed all the way up to 2019. Yeah, there's been a lot of lobbying to remove that code, but the negotiation with the government to remove that code, the agreement is that then they can never ask for civil marriage or legal marriage. It can remove the penal code, but you can never have a situation where queer couples can get married either legally in a civic situation or not. So that's the compromise, yeah? So, but I think in some sense, like both, like three of you, your practice, essentially, it's also kind of finding really different ways by which you propose another way of working, another way of dealing with what's going on in the world right now, like Shareef, because the very practicality of not being able to access certain materials, has allowed you to really shift a different material. I want to go back to material later because it relates to Manchester. Because this has then suddenly opened up quite a powerful way to think about insisting in your practice. And for the two of you, that kind of quite personal desire to have a child suddenly also explodes, how we think about a queer family of the future, right? Where the existing rules, regulations, both legally as well as socially and ethically, is completely exploded. And this also relates to things that you're thinking about while here in Manchester. So maybe this is a good time to switch gears a little bit, to think about your time with us here in Manchester. Do you need to translate all of that?
I've been translating.
Okay, good. Thank you. Super. Great. So, Shareef, I want to start with you. We had a fantastic conversation the other day. And I'm so happy because it's still at the core of where your practice is now, about investigating material. And I want to ask, what was your experience like being here in Manchester, and what are you trying to hold on to after your time here? Yeah.
يعني أول أفكار يعني أول شيء هي الزيارة كثير قصيرة، بس بنفس الوقت أنا عادة دائما بحب أحس في المدينة، وهي من المدن اللي القليلة اللي أنا بحس فيها من أول ما بصل المطار.
He's saying, Shareef says that it was a very short visit. However, Manchester is one of the few cities that he got a very strong sense of it from the moment he got off the plane in the airport.
فكان أول شيء مهم بالنسبة لي هو الإحساس بالعمارة الموجودة، الجو العام وشكل هيك الحياة وطرق الناس والسيارات. هذا بالنسبة لي كان مهم.
He got very general sense, strong sense of the architecture, the people, the environment, even the cars, and for him that was very important.
أو إذا بتتذكر أول ما حكينا بالزوم قبل أشهر كنت بحكي له إنه أنا مهم لازم أشوف المدينة عشان أقدر أحس فيها وأعرف شو فيها تفاصيل.
And a few months ago, when we were on Zoom having our initial meeting, he said it's very important for him to visit a city to get a sense of it and a sense of all the tiny details that give you a better idea of the city.
مع كل الجولات اللي عملناها بالمساحات اللي رحنا عليها وكمان اللقاءات اللي كانت مع كتير ناس وحكيت مع يعني بتفاصيل لها علاقة بشكل المجتمع اللي موجود هون كيف تركيبته صار في عندي انطباع انه في تشابه باختلاف شكل المعاناة اللي بيعيشوها الناس يعني في تشابه بالمجتمعات.
The people that he met, the spaces that he visited, gave him an initial sense of the social makeup of Manchester, which helped him develop a connection or find some common grounds between some of the struggles of people here in Manchester and some of the struggles of people back home in Gaza.
ولأنه في جزء من شغلي بآخر 5 سنوات له علاقة بالعمل بالفضاء العام، الالتقاء بناس وجمهور مختلف عن الجمهور تبع الجاليريات أو المتاحف، اللي هو بيعطيك إنك تندمج وتسأل بشكل كتير مختلف وتعكس صوت هدول الناس اللي موجودين في أماكن كتير مهمشة.
His work in the last few years has been focused on the public space, and in order for him to do work in the public space, it meant he needed to get a very strong sense of the people in a specific surrounding or society, who particularly have marginalized voices, and the work in the public space gives him a chance to help with those voices or engage with those voices.
وبفكر أرجع على مدريد أو اليوم راح أرجع ومعايا هذا التفكير إنه شو العلاقة اللي موجودة بين الناس اللي عايشة بهاي المناطق والناس اللي عايشة بفلسطين أو بغزة وكيف علاقتهم بالمادة اللي محيطة فينا اللي هي الخرسانة أو الحجر الأحمر.
And one of the main thoughts that he's going to go back to Madrid with is how people in certain parts of the society in Manchester live, and how people in certain parts of Gaza or all of Gaza live, and the thing they have in common in terms of being surrounded by a certain material, which is concrete or red brick. And he's going to go away with those thoughts and see what we'll come up with.
وبعتقد واحدة من الأشياء اللي هي واجب علي إنه أعمل هاي الاتصال أو نقطة الاتصال من بين المجتمعات اللي بقدر أربط فيها ناس موجودين هان وناس موجودين غاد يحكوا مع بعض يتبادلوا الخبرة وكمان بنفس الوقت الثقافة.
And one of the things he needs to do, and he feels it's obligation and duty to do, is to establish a link between people here and people in Gaza in the context of a cultural exchange, an idea exchange.
Great, thank you. And in a way, because you mentioned concrete, and obviously, as in Manchester, there's a lot of speed of building buildings, and of course, a lot of the contemporary buildings that we see across the city, of course, it's kind of very, cheap, functional material, that's being used to build houses and apartments and so on and so forth. I want to ask about your kind of observation, looking at, kind of Manchester, kind of buildings and kind of built environment. And then the other day you were talking about also your relationship to concrete as a material, living in Gaza and of course, given a lot of the bombing, where of course, buildings have been destroyed, but also destroyed kind of halfway. So I want to ask about your relationship also with concrete, from that kind of perspective. I'm just going to be a bit of context about the half-destroy thing, just to be context. Just so people know, the technique of bombing buildings kind of halfway, leaving it hanging, it means that it makes it difficult for people to rebuild, to kind of take it apart and to rebuild. So it's not about just destroying everything, but to do it kind of part way so that it's hard. Yeah. Just to give context, yeah.
يعني أنا علاقتي بالخرسانة، أنا عايش في خرسانة أصلاً، يعني هاي العلاقة إنه أنت عايش في مدينة خرسانية لسببين. السبب الأولاني إنه هي مادة سريعة البناء وفي نفس الوقت هي مادة رخيصة، بس كمان بنفس الوقت هي مادة هشة في يعني في وجه الصواريخ والحرب والدمار.
He's saying that indeed he is surrounded by a lot of concrete. It's all he knows in terms of houses and buildings is concrete. Like you said, it's cheap, it's fast, but also it's very fragile, it's very weak in the face of the Israeli missiles and the Israeli occupation.
أنا بحاول أدور على هاي العلاقة اللي موجودة بيني وبين الخرسانة أو بين الناس والخرسانة، لأنه البيت مبني بالخرسانة بس هو كمان بيت بيحمل أحلام الناس، ذكرياتهم، حبهم وأفكارهم والمستقبل والماضي والحاضر، كل شيء موجود بهاي المربع الخرسانة. هو مش مربع من الخرسانة، هو داخله حياة مختلفة بكل تفاصيلها، فهذا اللي بيعني لي دائما.
He is very interested in exploring concrete, not just as a means or a material to use for building. He's interested in exploring it as a place that has your memory, as a home, as a house, a place that has your memories, it has your happy moments, your sad moments, your dreams, your ambitions. He's very interested in exploring that relationship with concrete and between people and concrete.
بكل شغلي اللي خاصة بالتصوير الفوتوغرافي أنا بدور على الصورة اللي مش موجودة بالإعلام، على الصورة اللي مش موجودة. لو أنت حطيت جاز على جوجل هتلاقي صورة مختلفة أو صورة معتادة. أنا دائما بعمل الصورة اللي فيها تفاصيل العلاقة بحياة الناس، حبهم، الأمل تبعهم، كيف بيفكروا، كيف بيعيشوا كبشر عاديين. وهاي التفاصيل اللي أنا بدور عليها دائما جوا أزقة هاي المخيمات والبيوت والشوارع.
Using his work, especially his photographic work, he likes to take pictures of our houses and spaces in Gaza that if you Google Gaza you wouldn't see those images, and they're beautiful images of people living their lives in those homes, between those walls, in those alleys, that just reflect the beauty of life in Gaza as we know it, and images that people aren't familiar with outside of Gaza, just images of people living their normal, happy lives like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that for me, I mean, it's so important, right? That, we need to constantly remind ourselves, in how images are being circulated that is so focused on kind of one thing. And, like we live in a world that is completely black and white right now. Ones and zero. There is no space for conversation, for nuance, for anything that you can see beyond what that singular image kind of presents and represents. But that we forget that to know that the people of Palestine and how they live, all the strength, the beauty, the hope, and all of that, it's not circulated because it exists in an economy of images that essentially insist on only selling one thing. And I think that's super problematic because what it does is that it's just closing a lot of that kind of any sense that, at the base of all of this, we are a community. We are multiple communities. And how do we, kind of start to investigate beyond, I think, these structures that insist on imposing a certain way of thinking and a certain way of operating in a very particular way. So thank you for that, and that reminder. I want to switch to Chien-Han and Ray. Before you arrived in Manchester, we were online, we were talking about two very separate directions of travel or research. I'm just going to say it, but we can discuss it a bit more. So Chien-Han, of course, has got a personal family connection about manufacturing. Her father used to own a shoe factory in near Shenzhen in China. Yeah. And of course, Manchester, birthplace of textiles, manufacturing factories and all of that. So there is that obvious kind of connection. And Ray, given, I think, your practice as a lighting designer, thinking about also, where that kind of technology sits, and then relating to what we just talked about, the desire to kind of construct a new queer family, so of course the birth of the Manchester baby in Manchester kind of relates to that as well, given, birth of the modern computer, Alan Turing and all of that. So I'm just kind of curious, now after arriving in Manchester, having seen the city, met with people, gone to the Science and Industry Museum, where are your heads at in terms of any of this? Yeah.
Okay, so Manchester baby, because I think for me, I was very curious about human consciousness. And recently we also another work about AI, artificial intelligence. And I was the one that not 100% sure that human consciousness and intelligent consciousness, I don't know if it totally different. Of course, I believe that human beings have soul, spirits. We have something rather than machine. But I'm curious about what is the line that between non-human and human, and also what is a line to recognize consciousness. Because sometimes for me, human being can be very unconsciousness about everything, especially these years. Yeah. And so I'm very interested about Manchester baby. And 2 days ago, we went to see the real, I think it's a copy one, but it's like a real size of a Manchester baby. And all this glass made tube is called CRT. Yeah. And that's
cathode ray tube.
Yeah, that is how here can make the first storage machine. And also for me, I think it's called baby. For me, it's also interesting that once you have memory, you can recognize what is the past, the present, then feels like you are human. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting thinking for me, like back to 1947, human being thinks that have memory is the first key to realize the spirits, the mind. What is the mind? Yeah.
And it's interesting, the first memory of this computer is actually a daisy flower. So Alan Turing has kind of coded in a way that the first memory is actually nature, not about anything else, but something that is quite fundamental, that relates to kind of life, like you say, consciousness, right? And I think for me also, consciousness is also not necessarily just about human consciousness. This is my own beef about Anthropocene, but the thing that actually all living beings have consciousness. Yeah. And in the last couple of days, in these artist talks, we've had, of course, Faf Swag, of course, being closest to thinking about their relationship with nature that have existed tens of thousands of years ago, and what does it mean for us in the future. So I want to kind of ask, in your time here, this reflection about, the birth of the Manchester baby, what do you feel are next steps of research you would like to do? Sorry to put you on the spot. It's a selfish question because I want to know as well.
Actually, when I arrived the Science Museum to see this CRT, I found out that one thing related to me a lot is actually the physics of lighting.
Sorry?
The physics of lighting.
Yeah, the physics of lighting.
Yeah, because actually the CRT tube is empty inside. There's a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And that gas, when you put electronic, is merge a heat, and the heat create a light. Yeah. And that's the way they start to start these memory things. And also, we know like very traditional lights like sodium lights, metal halogen light, they are all empty in the center, and all this light is the material I very like to use in my past work. And I think like the combination of memory and lighting and how to store sound, I think for me this kind of small tube with light become memory. It's very interesting thinking way, and also memory about...
Because I remember about a little video art I did 10 years ago. I went on the street and asked some men to say my nickname, Han Bao, because my father passed away for a long time, and I realized the memory, his voice is only my memory. His voice talked to me by a nickname Han Bao. So I searched on the street and I talked to a lot of men, say, can you say Han Bao to me? And I want to adjust the tone. Yeah, so for me the memory is quite, this memory is quite romantic, and it's only belonging to me. Because like an image, you can say, oh, this is my father, but you cannot real recording the sound, yeah.
And this piece she made is actually in London.
Yeah, yeah.
So the sound is all from non-Mandarin Chinese speaker.
Right. Yeah, so I think it's quite like, yeah. So relating to about my father factory, yeah, I'm thinking about, I miss the smell from factory, and the production line, the oil, water, something. I'm thinking maybe I can do like a 3D, 4D painting from production line to create a Chinese fake mountain, fake river as a scene. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm still thinking about that. Because for us, as a Taiwanese, China is really complicated to us. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think our next step, I will want to, we too need to be like, merge our idea more about how to recreate the memory and to vivid showing this memory with non-language, without acting language script. We want to try something that we used to do before. And also, I think, thank you for this invitation again, because I think for Taiwanese, back to the China memory, for us is quite tricky, is that nowadays in Taiwan, everyone almost everyone has escaping back because these 2 years is under threatened by war. It's too much. And then now almost everyone has escaping back. In case something happen, we can run immediately. And I think for us, it's very difficult to have this kind of cultural conversation and also to know more artists, what is our identity. Yeah, because I think for Taiwanese people, we always think about like, what is mine?
Roots.
Our roots. We actually don't have. I think we actually don't have. We are not like a Thailand, this kind of rich cultural country. And sometimes for us, everything we can use is the question into the world. And like, for example, I was born in 1993. Since I arrived this world, we are not allowed to use our name, like Taiwan in Olympic and in WHO, WTO. We can just say we are Chinese Taipei, we're from Taipei. So for us, what is the value about artistic action and also our embodiment of the queer family idea is because that I think Taiwanese culture, the valuable thing about Taiwanese culture is freedom. Is that we
have the right.
We don't have identity, but we have so many things. Travel to Europe is actually very easy for us with our passport, but this passport is not Taiwan passport. It's not China passport. It's something like in a gray area. Yeah, so back to the question, what we're gonna continue, I think is that what we're observing here, the memory, the factory, and also we love the bee. I don't know why. We feel like the people here is like very like, always know what's the next, and quite organized and everything. And this kind of mechanism, is what we want to dig more in the future.
Thank you very much, and I'm so happy that actually in the space of Manchester, that we have this confluence of this incredible artist from Gaza and two incredible artists from Taiwan, exploring these kinds of fluid nexus, because we live in a world that's completely complex and fluid right now. That there is no singular kind of answer for all of it, but in fact, it gives us the space to kind of think beyond the singular. And it's important that we propose the multiples. And this is the strength and the hope of the future that I feel that we can all dream together. So thank you very much, Shareef Sarhan, Ray, and Chien-Han. Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon.